This is an evil to be aware of, and nobody's taught this in school, and it's so incredibly important. It could literally make your life a lot easier by being aware of this, and it's about dangerous minds, sheep-minded people that fundamentally are the right hand of evil. And this, of course, is about dangerous minds. It's fundamentally true that of all of us that we don't know what we don't know on various topics, and when we get into something that we have a fervor for, whatever that may be, learning or a skill set, we get a little bit of knowledge and we think we know a lot, but we're actually more dangerous than we knew nothing at all. And there's different stratifications, and it's really simple, and I've never heard anybody talk about this before. And I know you think I'm talking about the Dunning-Kruger effect, and of course I am to a certain degree, but keep it a lot more important than just saying, well, Dunning-Kruger effect. And people say that. Most people don't know what it means, but there's different stratifications of that. And there's things that are even worse than that, which is the stuff that I and you encounter on a daily basis. This, of course, applies to where we don't know what we don't know, and the second, really, you think the worst would be beliefs, and they kind of fundamentally are, but authority is the worst. People actually give authority to things, and they sublimate their soul and their common sense and their intuitive nature. Well, that person's authority, I guess I should listen to them. You know, they're in a higher station in life than I am. I'm just a lowly bricklayer or whatever it is you are or I am, and that's the worst decision, when people go against their own nature and that which they fundamentally know is true. The very, very worst people, and I encounter this a lot, especially here on the tube, there's some, I hope you don't take this the wrong way. I'm not referring to you, unless you're the one that's watching this video. Is that the very worst are those that will cite authority. These people don't actually have functioning brains. They've never thought about how ludicrous something is. They will just parrot, well, I want a cracker, but, they'll just parrot somebody that they look up to intellectually or otherwise, and they'll parrot them. I don't know if you know this or not, but I mentioned it before. There's no such thing as an authority in a formal debate. It's technically a fallacy. These, by the way, are the same sheep, or the same wolves, or the same fools or demons, take your pick, that will hold you down, put all their weight on your shoulders, while the authority, takes it out on you. These are the same people. It's like, well, this person, it's like, who's the most evil? And this has occurred countless times throughout history. People will sublimate their soul to somebody that they think is above them. Well, who's the worst? The person, and this is debatable, it's been debated for thousands of years. Who's the worst? The person doing the evil upon you, or the people that will hold you down, literally or figuratively or both, while the evil is done to you? They put credence in these people, and it shouldn't be that way. They will, up to and including, spill their own red liquid from their bodies. I'm not going to use the BLOO because the algorithms are always, they will spill their own red liquid to keep you from talking about something, to keep you from telling the truth. There's a recent example, by the way, where the guys that wear dark sunglasses and suits and drive unmarked cars took away a reporter who found out a really big secret recently, that the authority was in on something that happened. I'm not even going to say it. All he did was spill the truth about something, and that is really evil. And those guys that have a building in Arlington, Virginia, they found that guy and they cuffed him, and this is where the world turns upside down and backwards. But I encounter this too from various people. They don't want you being logical and honest, and these people are a danger. There's a reason why monks, and actually the word is not monk, it means devotee. The word bhikkhu or bhikkhuni doesn't mean monk. I shouldn't have used that word. It comes from the word bhakti, which means to give, i.e. a devotee, somebody that's dedicated to wisdom and insight. There's a reason why devotees actually lived in the forest. They call them forest-dwelling recluses, because they could not tolerate or put up with, because life is short. These people, it is far, far better to self-isolate than suffer the slings and arrows from fools. And there's just an enormous amount of people out there. In many cases, they're actually dangerous. And once again, these are the people that will hold you down. Well, savagery in whatever way, shape, or form is wreaked upon you and yours. Question is, when we're actually talking about something, we have to ask ourselves, what backs it? Is there facts or evidence behind it? Is there logic and rationality behind it? The real great question is does the center hold? Anybody could say something, and in its own little bubble, it might be good. And that's true of a lot of people these days. Everybody's living in a little bubble and a little isolated shell. Kind of like, remember the bubble boy from Seinfeld? There's real bubble boys where they had no immune system. They had to live their whole life in a bubble, essentially. If they stepped outside of the bubble, they were like a super fragile orchid that couldn't take... There's some orchids that can't take a half a degree or a 1 degree temperature variance. It's just too much for them. I forget what orchid it is, but it's like 1 degree off and the whole thing just goes to psh, and it's over with. And a lot of people live their lives that way. It's like, well, in their own little bubble, everything's okay, but does the center hold? I mean, does it fit in like a puzzle piece? And that's a question people don't ask, and I don't hear anybody talking about that. Once again, this is an appeal to authority where people, and there are people that make videos like this, they'll actually quote, I'm going to give you an example, talking about the temp of the earth. Like, oh my God, she's got a fever. It's like, well, if you're super superficial and extremely unintelligent and foolish, you would buy that. Well, this is the leading agency of, I'm not going to mention the agency up in New York in that very tall building. There's no such thing as truth by consensus, by the way. That's something you really should remember. Never, ever forget that. There is no such thing as truth by consensus. If it's popular, it can't be true. And if it's true, it can't be popular. Never, ever forget that. No such thing as truth by consensus. Anyway, people have appeals to authority. You have to ask yourselves the question, and I do too, when you confront these people with the facts, the logic, and the evidences that is outside of their bubble, because everybody nowadays is sniffing their own flatulence, living in a nutshell. But a lot of organizations actually do that too. They generate this false structure of the universe, the way the world is. Well, the world's like this, and we need to stop cow flatulence because the earth is in danger. It's like, oh really? Yeah, because we've done testing and yeah, okay, I'm sure you did testing. Man, there's so many ways you could I'm going to give you a perfect example here too. Someone was jumping on my back recently about the temperature of Mother Earth. It's an interesting fact. You can look it up too, by the way. And people want to do that. I mean, they are so addicted to their own silly little beliefs and the Dunning-Kruger effect, where they actually, once again, way worse than an evil authoritarian figure, are the people, it's the tens of thousands out there that put authority in that tiny handful that is holding everybody's shoulders down. And this is always the great evil of society. You got a tiny handful of super evil, anti-intellectual, unintelligent people with definitely no wisdom. And as I've said a million times, the most evil people in society are always highly intelligent, yet extremely unwise. Yeah? It's not the foolish and unwise people that are the danger. It's the intelligent and unwise. Well, he's really got high in IQ. Really smart guy. You remember every evil person that did something super, super evil in life, and they interview the names like, I don't understand why he did such evil things. He seemed like such an intelligent guy. He was the smartest person in his class. It always is that way, because when you have a lot of intellect and no wisdom, then the fruit of that dichotomy is invariably evil, whether it raises its head or not. You know, there's a lot of factors there, but it's always extremely intelligent, yet extremely unwise. These are the same people, by the way, that are referring to the ones that will actually hold people down on their shoulders, put all their weight on your shoulders so authority, can, wreak nefarious deeds upon us. These are the same people that during the past 3 years, or 4 years, 2019, to three plus years, these are the same people, and I had these people screech at me. I almost got into confrontations that would have required serious action. Because they were so brainwashed and so scared by people that they put authority into. I was too close to them standing in line. I backed up, and they had a complete mental break from reality. I've heard thousands of stories from you people like this. During the past few years, the same people that if we weren't wearing a face diaper, these were the same people who were saying, "You're killing people! How dare you do that? You're putting people's lives in danger." I've had thousands of you send me comments in emails about that. These are the same type of people. Anyway, they're engaging in bandwagon fallacies, and they're citing authorities and who are not authorities, because when you're debating something. Anyway, the people that had recently jumped on me saying that, Mother Earth is, has a temperature or a fever. What they'll do is they'll cite some, temperatures have been going up since, the past 10 years, large increase in temperatures, and it turns out that's not true, and I'll give you some evidences here. For the past many years, a bunch of photographers and other people have visited nearly every weather station to determine whether or not it has been placed properly, because you can't say whether a temperature is increasing, if it's not properly placed. That's called rigorous scientific methodology, by the way. This is like a kid that would fake being sick so he didn't have to go to school by putting the thermometer underneath the hot water and then sticking it back in his mouth, and his mother would go, "Oh my God, you've got a burning temperature." They found as a stunning disregard, and these were intentional stunning disregard, 90%, just take that in for a second, 90% of the sensors, these temperature sensors, that were used to determine, the graph of where things have been going the past decade, 2 decades, on and on, were placed very, very, very close to heat sources that no intelligent, even an unintelligent person knows, like, you can't get an accurate result by putting it there. Here's some odd sources. A sensor in Redding, California is housed in a box that contains a halogen light bulb. So they were judging the temperature at this one temperature sensor used by the big entities up in New York City, the UN. Oh my God, the temperature off scale. There's a long laundry list. Once again, this is 90% of sensors. You can go look this up. A sensor in Hanksville, Utah sits atop a gravestone, which soaks up the sun, as anybody knows about rocks and minerals. And the heat radiates back to it, the thermometer at night, because that's what happens to stone. It gets heated up at night, and then it dissipates that heat at night, so the temperature sensor is unusually warm. Nobody with 4 brain cells would do this. A sensor in Marysville, California, sits in a parking lot at a fire station right next to an air conditioner exhaust. One is in the same city is near a cell phone tower and a barbecue grill of a local restaurant. Sensor in Tahoe City, California, sits right beside a paved tennis court and right next to a burn barrel that incinerates garbage. Oh, okay, so we're going to get accurate temperature data based upon 90% of the sensors. So all these people that think they're smart and they say, oh my god, it's cow farts and everything is overheating and Mother Nature's overheating. I'm not saying it's one way or another, by the way. You notice in this video I'm not saying it. I'm just giving you the facts here. I'll let you to make up your own determination. I'm not saying it's real or it's unreal. Did you know that this was going on? You have a lot of people suffering from the Dunning-Kruger effect that is citing this study. Oh my god, Mother Nature's overheating. Oh my god, we gotta stop cow farts and you gotta stop backyard grilling your barbecue. By the way, I don't know if you know what the Dunning-Kruger effect is, but it occurs when a person's lack of self-knowledge and skill in a certain area causes them to overestimate their competence. This is what happens when people know just a little bit and they've read studies and they cite authorities, and once again there's no authority in a formal debate, and they think they know something and you're wrong. Oh, let me, excuse me sir, just on this one topic, and there's a million topics where people commit these fallacies, and it's the spread of evil, and it's something very, very dangerous that leads the earth, meaning people and societies, down a dark road, just like that failed house painter from the Oostenrijk. It wasn't him. Everybody keeps pointing the finger at him. Not that he's not evil. What about the... You got one person versus tens of thousands of people that are propping up that evil. It's no different than these people quoting authorities. I have a PhD in Buddhism. Oh, do you really? Well, let's actually discuss what Buddhism did or didn't teach. These people think they're authorities in something, or they'll actually quote an authority. Way worse than these so-called authorities who don't ultimately know anything because they won't debate. They won't debate with you because they know fundamentally at their very core that everything that they keep blabbing out to everybody is nonsense. Well, how dare you say that? They got a PhD on the wall. Where's your... But I mean, these people, they won't debate it and they can't debate it. And if you can't debate it, then you don't really understand it. And you also, too, have to be able to debate it very simply. In other words, if you can't debate it while you're sitting there filing your fingernails and chewing gum at the same time, then you really don't understand it. And there's so many topics, nobody could be an expert. You notice I said expert, not authority. Nobody could be an expert on everything. Obviously so. Some people think they are. But those that actually sit below the Dunning-Kruger effect will cite those, and this is the really funny thing, and I've never heard anybody mention this. As bad it is someone who has just about that much knowledge and has a source book of material where they will cite authority, and there is no authority. The people that are below the Dunning-Kruger effect are the people that will hold you down while the authorities, do as they will. I've had countless people talk about and laugh about the Dunning-Kruger effect for decades. I want to say to these people, it's like, do you know there's something way worse than the Dunning-Kruger effect? And it's the people that will cite those with the Dunning-Kruger effect as the source material for proving that they're right. It's like a really, really unintelligent person quoting and placing an authority in somebody slightly less intelligent. Oh, look at that! It's really quite funny. When confronted, they will lose every time if they say, I don't like your tone, or if they say, I'm not going to argue with you. When they say that, what it means is they can't argue with you. Or they'll yell, or they'll turn away and leave, or they'll try to kick you out, or they will work overtime to try to shut you down. If somebody works overtime to try to shut you down, it means that nothing of reality, facts, logic, wisdom, and does the center hold back them up. When somebody will cite authority of which there is no authority, they have already failed. It's like, you either have does the center hold? We have to ask that question. And of course it never does with them. They're living in a bubble in a nutshell. In their own little bubble in a nutshell, everything's okay. In my little bubble, it's surrounded by authorities, and I'm going to quote them. Well, you've already failed before you've gotten out the gate. These people are evil. You have to beware. It's a dangerous type of mind. Can I give you a great example of authority? Because when I grew up, people, he's a doctor, you gotta listen to the doctor because he's a doctor! No! Bleh! He has to be right. Where's my pipe at? Hey, you have to listen to me because I have a PhD. I went to medical school and I did postdoctorate graduate. Yeah. The second leading cause of mortality, possibly the first, is doctors. My doctor, who is an anti-doctor doctor, that is Dr. Michelle, by the way, in case you wanted to know, she can't stand doctors. She finds them all reprehensible. I know more than a few doctors, and the doctors that I know can't stand doctors because they know the great evil that they wreak upon people. Do I want to go to a doctor if I like break my leg or get like a tree branch sticking from one side of my leg out the other? So they can take it out and sew it up and repair a blood vessel. Sure, of course. Obviously, that's what I'm saying. But I trust them? Absolutely not. That's just me. I'm not giving that advice at all. But they're the second leading cause. Both my friends were done in by the medical industry. If they, literally, not my opinion or feeling or belief, if they had not gone to that place that dispenses little colored marbles that you pop in your mouth, they would still be here. Literally, the hospital and the doctors therein did them in. Am I painting a broad picture here? No, I'm just stating a fact. And in those two instances, that's a fact. And I've heard from countless thousands of you on that front. Thankfully, my doctor is an anti-doctor doctor, and she has common sense, and she does what's right. Now she's a farmer, but she's still a doctor. I mean, there's just one example. Look at all these sensors. You know how many thousands of people suffering from the Dunning-Kruger effect? Over the past 15 plus years have been quoting this survey. 90% of the sensors that record Mother Nature's temperature are literally, like even a 5-year-old be like, you can't put a temperature sensor there for monitoring the earth? It's right above the asphalt! Oh, it's stupid! 90% of the sensors are literally, it's not like, oh man, we made a slight mistake there. We shouldn't have put a temperature sensor there. No! It's so bad a 5-year-old would know better. Or at least a 10-year-old. Right above the asphalt. Right above a gravestone. Right next to an air conditioning exhaust. 90%! Mother Earth is overheating and it is a cause because you're eating too much beef. You need to be eating, you will eat some bugs. And then the temperature of Mother Nature will drop. Yawool! This has been confirmed that it's over 90%. Go look that up. Don't take my word for it. The Earth overheating. We're going to stop cow flatulence. People need to stop eating beef. People need to eat the bugs. Mother Nature, she's overheating. Really? And that's based upon this, where 90% of the sensors are in the wrong place, right? Okay. I'm not saying it's one way or another. I'm just saying that seems slightly suspicious. That seems slightly suspect. This is something to be aware of in your life, and it really applies to everything. You need he's an authority, of course he's right. Stop. Yeah, there's no such thing as an authority in a formal debate. That's a fallacy. It's called an appeal to authority fallacy. I don't know if you know that or not, but now you know. If you ever want to contact me, let me know. My email's in the description below. Also, too, a lot of free books and articles that I've written. I hope you have a lovely day. Peace out, Girl Scout!